Hello everyone, evening. Mr. Sweeney, I shall be speaking to you a bit later. Sorry Tone, just been a bit mad and I need quiet time because I've got something fascinating to tell you. Hello Rachel, Mr. Bremer, Justin Bremer. I went to school with Justin Bremer. Good to hear from you, Just. I hope you're doing well. Hello Paula. Paula, my little Romany friend. Hello Portia. Michelle, Louise. Linda, thank you so much, Linda. I shall be taking the goodies to Nicola in a few days. Mr. Blair, the Blair twins. Hello Lou Saunders. I went to school with Lou Saunders as well. So we've got Lou Saunders and we've got Justin Brimmer. I went to school with both of them. Right, let me just spin it around. Let's have a wee look at London. London in all its glory. There we go. Big yourself up, Adam. My cousin Adam now. Hi, Amanda. Right, there we go. London. Oh, hello, Teresa Oliveira. Bon dia. Como está? Shaba. Oh, the F Master Flash. Right, look, London is glistening. Each red light is a navigational aid and most of them are cranes. Look at that. How is there a recession? They're building on every little dot of land. You know? What's that? It's like some sort of what's that thing? Like a couple of little green lights there. I hope that's not aliens. Wow, what's oh, that's Lord's cricket ground. There's obviously a bit of cricket going on over there. You know, batting a six. Cricket. God, I played it once at school and that was it, and I was shy at that. That's not a game for the working classes, cricket. We've got better things to do, like drink beer. Right, let's have a little look round London. There we go. Just giving you a little panoramic. Oh, a bit early today, so I just want to get the sun as it goes down over Harrow and Kingsbury and the Moral High Ground. So spin round, running high at night on our viewing figures. That's really good. There we go. Yeah, the sunset. That's it. Summer gone. All those that moaned it was too hot, eat your words because it's gone now. And there we go. Right. Right, I mentioned earlier. Let me just pop down here. Let me spin it round. Spin myself around. I've got to try and work this one out. Oh, someone from the Netherlands. Yes, from the Netherlands. There we go. Now, I've got to work this one out because tonight's going to be a night of education. You know, I liaised with someone the other day. Someone I've been in communication with for a little while. This woman is a victim of satanic ritual abuse, something very common to the John Wedger Foundation and its gang. You know, right, and we started off with one victim coming forward, and now majority of the people we talk to, their lives have been trashed by this horrendous practice, and it's an ancient practice, and it's one of them things where you sort of read up on it, you do your best and everything else, but you never really fully comprehend. You know, you think that it's just a little bit out there, you know, one or two quirky people, maybe members of the aristocracy, that ponce around in a graveyard in black and do a few odd things. Let me tell you, the reality is something totally different. I've been educated over the last few years of really how dark this is. I've seen in the rawness of it all the victims and the survivors of satanic abuse. I've been accosted by practitioners of it. I've seen people heavily demonised by it. I've seen some really, really odd stuff because of it. And why do people do it? Well, they do it for many reasons. They do it for position, for power, for perversion, you know, promotion, whatever it might be. But let me tell you now, this is a very, very ancient practice. And for the first time, really, someone has actually sat me down and gone through the whole hierarchy of this. There's a lot of people that are therapists and they do a good job. They therapise people with DID, dissociated identity disorder, but I might be talking out of terms. But if you've got information is no use, let me tell you that. Information is no use if it is not shared. I know people might be scared, but if you do not share what you know, it's of no use. It's like a bit of fruit. It will rot and it will wither, and it will wither with you. And if you take these secrets, this intel, this knowledge with you to the grave, then what use is it? It is of no use whatsoever. So I call out to the therapists, please share the information with those that can do something with it. Do not betray your source. I'm not asking you to betray your source. I'm not saying that. But there is important information that you hold that, due to confidentiality or the premise of confidentiality, because you're not betraying anyone by disclosing some of the practices that go on. You can hide some of this allegorically. You can put pseudonym names before the people. You can alter some of the locations, and you can distance that person from the source of the information. Hence, you are protecting them. But to be silent about this isn't good enough anymore. We need speaking out. Okay, now this woman said to me, John, you need to write this down, and then you need to do a presentation and educate your viewers, of which there are many, on what really happens and how this happens. And I'm going to do that for you tonight. Now, I am a bit of a polished turd. I have no fancy equipment. I've got a bit of cardboard, right? I'm going to write it on this bit of cardboard with a shit pen. So let's see how we get on. And I'm going to explain it as I go. What I might do is that anyway, I might kneel down. Let's see how I get on with this. Don't know how it's going to work. All right? Don't know how it's going to work. Right, so I'm now going to dispel the secrets behind this ultimate secret society. Bollocks to the Masons, the Round Table, or whoever these other lot are, the Rosicrucians and whatnot. You can go on the internet and you can look at their rituals anyway. The secret handshake, rolled up trouser leg mob. There's no real secrets there, you know. No real secrets there. Dee, can you put that proverb up again? Dee put up a very, very poignant proverb. I'd like to see that again, Dee, and I'll quote that. Put my cup of tea. Oh. I've got the little cup tone tonight. I'm sorry about this. Now, right, so she said, this is how it works. At the very low level, you have what are called the spotters. I'm just going to write down spotters with my Poundland pen. Spotters. Right, at the bottom of my cardboard, I've written spotters. You might be able to see that. It'll come into its own in a minute. All right. Now, who are the spotters? The spotters are very, very low level people. Okay. So what the spotters do is they go out. They are all over the UK. We're just dealing with the UK. I'm not going to take this outside the UK, we're dealing with the UK now. So the spotters, they go out amongst the community and they identify children and potential recruits into this ancient deity worshipping secret society which is governing so much. Okay, now what they'll do is they will go out amongst the community and they will identify children, and these children mainly, and this is coming from an educated individual, someone who's been there, not my words, I'm passing this on, so don't anyone go getting the ump saying I'm being judgmental or whatever, right? They will go out, they're everywhere. And she said in poor communities, you've got a lot of single parenting, they will be targeted. Hence again, the reason I say keep your family strong. They will look for kids that are always roaming, always out, no one bothering to get them, right? They will be targeted, right? They also, she said, look at the middle class communities because there is this practice of swinging. And when you've got sexual liberation, then you have also, that gets passed down throughout the kids. So parental responsibility gets a little bit lax, a little bit liberal. And again, they're easy prey. And this is what the spotters will look for, a weakness in the family setup. They then pass the information onto the next group. So the bottom of this dog shit pyramid are the spotters. Now, this, right, so, right, what an idiot am I? I'm using a brown pen on a brown background. How does that work? Johnny's got a brand new pen. Let's use red. That's about right, isn't it? Red. For these. Listen to their whispers and you won't have to hear their screams. Exactly, D. Listen to their whispers. And you don't always listen to the whispers. Right, so at the bottom, spotters. Spotters are out there. Right, they make way for the next group. They pass on information in the next group to the lookers. The lookers will do intel research. The lookers will have access sometimes to social services records, to medical records, to school records, sometimes to police records, and they can start profiling the intel brought in from the spotters. The lookers are also used for lookouts during rituals and also where there is sex trafficking and child trafficking. The example given was Elm Guest House, where a child will be taken for an important customer. Not important to me and you, but important, you know, in the other sense of it all, right? And the lookers would then be positioned throughout the street and also in the building, in the windows and elsewhere in the road. That is, if there is any untoward activity, they will tell the group and it will be shut down. So when Cyril Smith, Leon Britton and the likes were at the shenanigans, the lookers would have been at work. The lookers are connected and will do the intel research. All right? So the lookers then, they then pass this valuable information, and it's almost a comprehensive intelligence package on a worthy family, right, onto the next group, which are the fixers, right, the fixers. Now I'm going to write this down on my little thing now, fixers. Yeah, hang on, I'm right on the roof. Next thing, the wind will blow, this will end up on someone's patio. And I wonder, what the hell is this? I'm going to show people this in a second. Now the fixers, they come in 3 categories, right? Low, middle and high. An example of a high level fixer is Jimmy Savile. The fixers will then procure the children. They will go out there and they will then start linking in the children with the customers. There's 2 sorts of children. That are the groomed child, the child that has already been sexually abused, right? there will be intergenerational families, which will be commonplace in there. All right. Now, right, there's some right. So you'll get the groom children. They are favoured. Okay, they are favoured because the work is done for them. These are kids that are already incredibly heavily sexualised and know how to perform sex acts on adults. All right. So when these kids are taken from families, bear in mind 80% of the abuse occurs in the home. I want you all to know that. So when we start saying grooming gangs, 80% of abuse occurs in the home. So I'm gobbed. All right. And then they go into care and it's already on their record. So we're seeing this all the time. So the fixers then have things called due dates, right? DUE dates, due dates. This is a date when a kid is required at a certain place at a certain time for a certain person. They must stick to that due date. Okay, they must procure a child and they will be given a preference. It might be a young black boy. It might be a little blonde-haired girl. It might be a ginger kid. It might be anything. There will be, just as much as there is all these different categories of pornography, there is with the children's select list. Okay? So the fixers will then be set out to get all this organised. They're like the managers, as it were, and they will then be paid. Right? This is when big money comes in. Now this woman was saying back then minimum £5,000 would be paid for a child. Let's look at the incredible testimony of Nikki Cooper. And Nikki Cooper said that there was a police officer of inspector rank working in the Soho area who was paying street level people, drug addict people, £500 to procure a runaway child. So again, look at what I've been told. Does that not tie in now with Nikki's testimony? And if that's the case, then it goes to show that this police officer that's named on the range list, that's pretty accurate, that range list. And I tell you what, the more you look into the range list, the more you'll prove it right. The more you'll prove it right. This is why there's every need to get rid of that range list by the authorities, by people like Private Eye magazine, by people like Hoaxted, and you know, shame on anyone who follows that group Hoaxted. Shame on them, right? Because they are trying to cover all this up. Right now, there's another sort of kid that they will get hold of, and that's the opportunistic, the snatch of a child. Right, they will go out there and link him. So does this now look at the children that were snatched off the street? You know, like Holly and Jessica and little Sarah Payne and things like that. It puts a different slant onto it. It really does. And if you look at Ian Huntley, they sectioned him straight away and put him into Rampton. You know, so that stinks. That stinks. All right. And the investigating team that dealt with that, they would have had information. Look, if I can get this information doing what I do, don't you think these high-level police units get it? Of course they get it, you know? So these fixers, so the likes of Jimmy Savile was a fixer. He would arrange for these children to go to these places, right? So that's the lower tier. The spotters, the lookers, right, and then the fixers. And the fixers are in three categories depending on the clientele. Jimmy Savile was a high level fixer. Okay, right, now we go to the next level, and again the money that starts going about is £5,000, and this was back in the day, so you can stick another zero on that, you know. And like, remember Jeanette Archer, she said lots of money would trade hands, lots and lots of big money, right? And we're going to look into why they do this, and that in itself is categorized, okay? And it ties in with near enough every single interview I've done. My word, that God is clever, you know, right? So we then get the cleaners, right? The cleaners. Now, these aren't just physical cleaners, right? These are split into categories. The UK, I was told, has been split into 5 categories. Take, for example, London. London, Surrey and the South Coast is governed by one particular cleaner, I was told, who is a police officer, right? His job is to make sure there are no forensic opportunities when a child is ritually sacrificed. So therefore they will make sure that police are not called to that area. So there will be some sort of monitoring of the radio system. They will make sure that any forensics can be covered up, or also it could be deliberately misplaced. So if we then start looking at what happened to Jill Dando when the misplaced evidence of Barry Bulsara, who was clearly not with it in the head, was stitched up for that, right? And again, I don't think there's many people that believe the official narrative of Jill Dando's murder. Okay, so the cleaners, they will have links in with coroners' offices, they will have links in with the health service and everything. They will make sure that nothing untoward criminally comes against the group. They have an important job to do, and they will also make sure that the likes of Johnny Wedger, when he's doing his investigating, doesn't dig too deep. Where have we heard that? Right. Unbelievable. This really shook me. This shows how connected they are. And then if anyone does, then they can then start implementing ways of getting rid of that source, whether it would be by stitching them up or killing them, right? And this is what I was told, you know, they'll be killed. And I was told, John, you've already upset this group. Well, if I can upset any group in my life, thank you, Jesus, I've upset this group. All right? Sod upsetting the likes of Barbara O'Hare and that Power Disney weirdo. I don't care for them. These are the people we should be worrying about, right? The spotters, the lookers and the cleaners. Okie doke, now I'm going to refer to my notes now, right? Right now. And like I said, the cleaners are then regional. Right, oh yes, no, I've got it, I remember it now. Right, they do an incredibly important job, and they get paid and looked after favourably for doing it. Very favourably for doing it. We then move up to the international fixers. These are people that usually hold pilots' licenses or boats. They are able to traffic and ferry children wherever they need be and clients wherever they need be. Now, where did we hear this? With Epstein. And I was told that RAF Hercules planes have been used. This woman said she herself was placed drugged in a box and transported via a military jet. And I said, but how can they? You can't say that RAF pilots are in on this. She said they're everywhere, John. They will use their people. Understand this, they use their people. Okay? So I'm in no way saying all police are involved. I respect the police and we need the police. I'm not saying all military people are involved. Get this into a sense of perspective, not at all. Listen to what we're saying. They use their people. They have them secreted everywhere, and they have doctors there which can sedate and monitor, okay? Because these children are worth a lot of money, and I'm going to be going into why they are worth a lot of money. So the international fixers will also have an entourage of slaves. They will be slave owners. They will house and hold slaves. Okay, sex slaves, whatever slaves, they will have access to these. All right, and I was given names of some celebrities involved in that. Not for this talk, but that information that will be being passed on. And like I say to people, everything must be passed on. Give them the opportunity, aka the old bill, to do nothing. So the international fixers, all right, they play a very, very important job. This is big, big money. And then that feeds in to what's called the Bloods, the bloodline families. These are the ancient families. These are people in very high office. And it's been going on a long time, intergenerational, you know, powerful business magnets and everything, okay? The Bloods, right? They will be the clients, but they are not the ultimate clients, because on top of that are what she terms the royals. right? She said, and they are royalty for a reason, okay? And she said a lot of these places where these places are built, they're on ancient grounds. So we start at the bottom with the spotters. Makes way for the lookers. The lookers feed into the fixers. These are all people in our community going out there. This is important that you look after your children. Very, very important. So obviously someone rang me. It's obviously someone who's not watching my podcast. Right. And the fixers will then make sure everything runs smoothly. The cleaners will clean it up. They deliberately know this has disgusts me with these cleaners. They know what they're doing. And if you recall when I was going on about the mention of Salvation Army buildings, the Royal British Legion buildings, military bases and the like being used, and I said, well, this must take a huge amount of organisation. Well, that was all corroborated in my meeting the other day, and it certainly does. Now, why do they do it? Now, sexual abuse of children is needed because these people are sexually perverse. They enjoy raping and sodomizing children. Okay, it's part of what they do. They like it and they enjoy it. So children will be procured for sexual orgies. All right, and if you look at the book by Audrey Harper, Dances with the Devil, she turns around and alludes to that she would go on the streets of London and procure children for sex parties. Ties in again, which Nicky Cooper says, ties in again with the range list. It all ties in. It all links together. Right, we need to take this seriously because this is going on. Right. And the reason that you get these upper two groups, the Bloods and the Royals, is a reason it never gets out. It never, ever gets out. Right, so they want the sex abuse. There's another thing called the hunt, where children are taken, and it is an owl-based ritual, because the owl always lets its prey run before. It gives it the illusion of escape and saving its soul, but she said their souls are never saved. They're always caught. And why do they do it? And I was told they do it because it is a bonding experience. It bonds these people together. It unifies them and tightens them up. And of course, it's no different to fox hunting, right? No different at all. These children are taken into wooded areas. They are cold. They are stripped naked. They are shit scared. They are made to run. They are caught. They are whipped. They are beaten, right? And then they are raped and sodomized. And that is the hour-based ritual. And these are people who pay a lot of money to do it. Okay. The next reason, they are serving their deity. They are serving their God. They are ancient families who believe in Luciferian Moloch and devil worship. It's what they've always done, and their God serves them well. Okay, so when people go, I don't believe in God, I don't care. It don't matter what you believe in. They do. They believe in it and have done for a very, very long time. You've only got to look at symbolism, sculptures, where you will see alluded to these deities. Okay. And she said these practices will occur in stately homes, in royal property. Sometimes she mentioned military places. Right? Can we get rid of Danny Jones? This bloke's an absolute idiot. Get rid of Danny Jones. Moderators, get rid of him. He's putting up. We're talking Danny Jones. Whoever follows Danny Jones, he is trying to interrupt this podcast about satanic abuse. Explain. I think Danny Jones, you are deliberately interrupting this for a damn reason, for a good reason. All right. You, my friend, are a very dark and dangerous individual. Right. Shame on anyone who follows this guy. Shame on anyone, because he's doing his best to interrupt this important podcast about satanic abuse. Danny Jones. Check him out. He's got this stupid picture of a hand, a black hand, which gives it away. Troll alert. Get rid of Danny Jones now. He's an absolute mug. Danny Jones, I'll tell you what, mate. let's put you in a room with some of the victims of this abuse. See how long you last, son. You tosser. Danny Jones. Right, let's move on now. Horrible people. Look what you get when you're talking about this, you know. Right, get rid of him now. Get rid of him now. This geezer, he's got to go. He's got to go. He is a man of question. You know, that's it. Get out. Get out. Get out of the room. Lou, can we get rid of him? Right. Oh, Police Hoax. It's a group called Police Hoax. Bunch of mugs. Right. Anyway, right. So, they believe it. She said that the rituals get very intense. There are manifestations that occur, right, and they worship this deity. Right, now the real reason they need these children, and this is something which is consistent that we get all the time, right, all the time, right, we get this, and this is the bloodletting of children, the bloodletting of children, all right? They need the blood. Now we're hearing it termed as adrenochrome, but they need the blood. They have to have it. She said if they don't have it, they start getting sunken, they start getting very, very sick, they start getting ill, and eventually they die. And it's a bit like heroin. They need to have the blood. They need it. And if we look at these rituals, it's always these young children are killed. Certain children are kept on because they are groomed children and they are needed for the rituals. But the others, they're expendable and they go. And again, this is where the adrenochrome comes from. And they also need children. So you can't put all your eggs in one basket and then what else do you have left? If you kill them all, then there's nothing else. These are people that like having sex with children. They enjoy it. They enjoy the hunt. That is their sport and everything else. And then the bloodletting. And she went on to say about Cyril Smith was always at rituals. So we're hearing these people. Look at the reigns list. Look at the reigns list. You must look at the reigns list because these people in place of privilege, position and power are named on there. Okay, so there we have it. There we have why they do it. And the fact is that they will have police officers that will have access to intelligence and the ability to discredit investigations. They will put their people in. So we must look at these flawed investigations and who was on them, and the fact that these people may never have been challenged. I'm trying to write it all down on here, right, so we can see. We can see on here, my little education, cleaners, right, int fixers. It's a bit rubbish, but I'm doing this, you know, as I go. So this is the first time we've had it. Int fixers, bloods, and royals. Right. Again, it's a term, royals. Make of that whatever you want. I'm not libelously putting myself in the frame for anything like that. So I don't want special branch saying, "Tell me, just said this." Right, hang on a second. Let's see if we can get this on camera. Right, here we go. It's a bit rubbish. I know it's rubbish. Right, but it's what I had. Spotters, lookers, cleaners. Oh, sorry, lookers, fixers, cleaners, international fixers, bloods, and royals. There we go. All right. Now, it makes you question so much, but also for me, it answers so many questions. And I said this when I was in Nottingham, when I looked at the child abuse, the cover-ups, I didn't understand it. I thought it was all isolated. Then I realised it wasn't just me. There was others, okay? And, all right, yeah, okay, I'm throwing the block. That's right, apparently I'm, right. Then I put paedophilia in the mix, and with the paedophilia, there were still gaps. And then when we started hearing more and more and more from victims of SRA, all right, that are all telling the same thing, right? we realise that Satanism is filling the gaps. And she said the children, the international fixers will have what they call stables, and this is where the victims are kept. She said you will find they will all have the same thing. They will be caged and they will be underground. They have to be that way because it's ancient and that's what their God dictates. So it's a bit like a religious ceremony. It has to go through the certain process, and this is a religious thing. It's negative deity worship. So she said the cages will be underground, stacked on top of each other with the children and everyone else in there, and they will be some form of a labyrinth around the whole thing. She said if you look on Epstein's Island, she said you can clearly see the labyrinth. So there will be the labyrinth, the caged area, because it all goes by it. And when they go looking for a child, we heard many people alluding to the street kids as chickens and things like that. What they'll term them was, internally, they term the children as diamonds. So a spotter will spot a diamond, and they will tell the looker they've got a diamond, and then the looker will turn around to the fixer and say, we've procured you a diamond, we've got your diamond. You know, so they're termed as diamonds in this certain field, all right? And from there, then they'll be taken to these venues. And she said they usually are, they call them stables, but usually they are stables, or they're barns, they're farm property, and which is something that we kept hearing time and time and time again from the brave testimonies of Jeanette Archer, Jenny Grace, Jen, and many others that are coming forward, Lissy, all of them saying the same things, all of them, you know, all of them saying the same things. And the hunt, no one gave more of an articulated and harrowing account of the hunt than Darren Jeffries. Listen to what Darren Jeffries says, especially in his Sean Atwood interview. It was absolutely unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Okay? Right, so I feel quite sick, to be honest. Especially when we got this Danny Jones fellow. But please, we need a concerted effort to make sure this person never ever crops up on anything again. He's an absolute menace. All right. Some good news. The police are investigating Yolandi Kenwood. All right. In 2 counties now. So we've got 2 county forces investigating her, and they will hopefully be cross-referencing it. So that's something good. All right. This is why we go out as a collective, as a team, and do what we do. So thank you to my team. A big thank you to all the background support that Amanda has been given. She doesn't get shouted out enough, and she deserves it. She's been a lot of support, you know, especially on the phone and outside of it, you know, feeding and watering, you know, the interviews, the people we interview and everything else. So thank you so much to her. All right. And thank you to all the hard work of the team at the moment. All right, so we are slowly getting there. Okay, hopefully what I've just recounted will form a live podcast. All right, and the woman is bravely agreeing to speak out, and the reason is because she says this has to stop. It has to stop. It really needs to stop, and it needs to stop now. You know, and again, there is a lot of people that have suffered from this. Okay, right, well, I hope that was informative. We've run at nearly 1,000 working views. Okay, we've done very well tonight. Sorry, you know, my pen thing was a bit rubbish on there, but it will be drawn. If I had a proper chart, I would have done it, but I've been on the go all day, and we've proactively been out there. We've luckily we've tracked down a transient paedophile who was gone missing. We did that today, which was a brilliant bit of work from the team. Okay, so very happy about that. And more updates to come. More updates to come tomorrow. Please, please, please stay tuned. I won't be brewing and viewing tomorrow, but there is a live Brew with a View interview going ahead by our northern contingent. Lou Dickens, and as you know, Lou Dickens' grandfather was probably the bravest MP that we've ever had. Lou Dickens is going to go out and do a live interview with the victim and a survivor, so please, please stay tuned for that. I think that's circa sort of 8 p.m. All right, so God, and I want to relay a message. This is from Lil J, and if you remember, Lil J is our phenomenal artist and survivor of SRA. She cannot, due to you know, DID, let's say it for what it is, go on and give a testimony. You know, she's too traumatised for that. But like we said before, they torture these children so they don't speak out, right? So it's dangerous for them to speak out, but they don't torture them not to draw. So little Jay, she's done it via her artwork. She bravely posted her artwork and it's got nearly 40,000 hits. How fantastic is that? And she wants from the bottom of her heart to say thank you to everyone who's put a beautiful comment on there, and it has really boosted her. And she said today, had it not been for the work that we've been doing, she wouldn't be here now. So my God, doesn't that mean a lot? Doesn't that mean a lot? All right, so I want to say thank you to everyone for tuning in. We now have it officially, how this hierarchy works. It is hierarchical. It is a pyramid system, and it's funny that those at the top are always those at the top, aren't they? You know. All right, and I'm going to go and get a cup of tea and a roll up now. And I want to thank everyone. I really do, from the bottom of my heart. I can't name names because I'm too worn out with all that. But please. And Little J said, if you're all on board with her artwork, she is considering putting out one piece a month. So if we get a big response from her, she's happy to use the John Wedger Foundation Facebook as a platform, as a gallery for her tremendous artwork. All right, but we say that, but it's all based, you know, out of extreme trauma. All right, so but she's prepared to do it. All right, but thank you and thank everyone. All right, God bless. And what was that D again? If we don't hear the whispers, then we'll never hear the screams. D, I'm so sorry. Can you just post it up, because I want to D, she's going to get the right up with me. Right, I'll just wait for her to repost it. Oh, Matthew Lopez and Nikki, right? So there's an interview with Matthew Lopez and Nikki, not Nikki, but Nikki in the north of England. So please stay tuned with Lou Dickens with Nikki and Matthew Lopez tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll be with Two with a Brew in the Dirty South with our favourite Nicky Cooper, Super Duper Cooper, and you know, and Nikki will be from there. She will be doing her own. I think she's looking at doing a weekly podcast on a solid research that she's doing. So big shout out for Nikki, and it's give her the impetus to keep going it. You know, what she's doing. So this is how it works. This is how we're all sort of branching out. Anyway, it's not come back, but it's something to do with all that anyway. Right, God bless all of you, and thank you so much. And hopefully I will have this proper written out when I sit down with this brave lady. And next week there should be an interview with a lady called Maria. Maria was a prostitute from the streets of London who totally turned her life around, and she wants to talk about all the horrors that she encountered while she was on the streets. So, God bless. So, with Nicky Cooper on Thursday, our fortnightly Brew with a View, okay? All right, God bless you all.